Probably most of us knew who this person was. He was credited as one of the greatest minds of the 17th century scientific revolution. He also proposed 3 laws of motion in which he explained the physical forces that are acting upon it. In this video, we will elaborate the law of inertia, acceleration, and interaction by giving 3 examples. The first law of motion is law of inertia, which states that an object at rest remains at rest, and an object in motion will continue to move at constant velocity unless acted upon by an external force. Shooting a ball, for example, it is a projectile motion, but notice the difference. He attempted to shoot a ball, yet it didn't come up as expected because he didn't exert enough force to shoot a ball. Meanwhile, in his second attempt, he did it by putting enough inertia to the object he's holding, because the greater the inertia, the harder it is to change the state of motion of an object. Secondly, we have a water tornado in a plastic bottle. She created a water tornado inside the plastic bottle just by spinning the water inside, just like shown in the video. And lastly, for the third example of the law of inertia, is the motorcycle brakes. The first law says that an object is measured by mass, whereas when he suddenly presses the brakes while the motor is still running,
the body pushes forward
because of the force acted upon it. The second law of motion is law of acceleration. It is directly proportional to the net force acting on it and is inversely proportional to the object's mass. An example of this law is dribbling a ball. The more force he put into the ball, the faster it will bounce to the floor back to his hand, wherein this law states that the rate at which velocity changes with time in terms of speed and direction. Likewise, in this second example, it is much easier to push the cart that holds a heavy mass when 2 people push it, as the mass of an object increased and the force on the object also increased. Therefore, the acceleration will increase as well. Jumping rope, for our third example, as you can see the difference between the two. Both has different speed. The other one is much slower because she didn't put enough force to it. Meanwhile, the other one is much faster because she combined enough force and right timing, which increases the acceleration. The third law of motion is law of interaction, which means that for every action, there is always an equal and opposite reaction. Cycling is an example of this law. The force applied into the pedal is the force that the wheel gives to the ground, and in return, the ground exerts the same force but in opposite direction, so that's why the bike is moving forward. Another example is volleyball. In order to play volleyball, she had to bounce the ball in her forearm. She also demonstrates playing it to the wall. Because this law of motion is a force exerted on any object is always exerted back by an equal magnitude of the force but in opposite direction. She uses her forearm to catch the ball, and so her forearm receives the impact of the ball. Table tennis for our last example in the law of interaction. When the opponent serves the ping pong ball to her, she made an action by hitting the ball back to the opponent, and as a reaction, her opponent did the same.